All right. So, well, thank you very much for being here this evening, in which we're going to be talking about World War II. And I decided to start with this photograph, with this image, um, because this is going to be kind of the perspective I wanted um, to have for this when I prepared the presentation. Um, I have always liked windows, right? And these window panes are somehow enigmatic and mysterious because windows have this thing of allowing you to look what's going on outside and from the outside in as well. And this image shows prisoners in a greenhouse, and even though we cannot see clearly the people that are inside the building, I think that we can actually see that the majority of them, at least, are children and women. And there is only one window pane which is open, um, kind of symbolizing the fact that there is little hope, I guess, but that there is this hope, like the light at the end of the tunnel. But the expression of the children looking at who is outside, um, they actually show fear. Um, like that's the feeling that I can interpret, that I can read from this picture. And I think it represents very well what in general wars are. Um, and well, specifically during World War II, there were around 40 to 50 million deaths, um, most of them civilians. So it was a catastrophe. Um, well, all wars are, all right. But yeah, so it's always sad to talk about wars. Well, I wanted to start by asking you. You can type in your answers. What living consequences of World War II can you think of? Things that are happening today that you can associate with World War II? Anything that comes to your mind. I'm going to bring my cell phone just to keep track of the time. Okay. Nope. Nothing comes to your mind. All right. So, look, I brought this piece of news of something that is okay. So, we have an answer. Guilherme says decline of Europe in colonization and US hegemony. Yes. Yes. Very good, Guilherme. Basically, and Ruben says, basically the conflicts that we see in the Middle East. Yes, yes. The foundation of the state of Israel is a consequence of World War II, right? Um, so I brought this piece of news, which is hot news in the United States these days, because this representative from the Republican Party, her name is the Representative Stefanik, called the presidents of two very important universities, Pennsylvania University and Harvard University, on a public hearing and asked them if calling for the genocide of Jews violated their university's code of conduct. Okay. And the presidents of these two universities appeared to evade the question, okay, which caused uproar, and the video went viral, and one of them had to resign. Okay. Now, a little bit of context. It seems that Elise Stefanik was phrasing or framing her question within the context of the intifadas, okay? Because there have been many demonstrations inside these universities from students in favor of Palestinian civilians. And it seems to me that they have been calling for the word of intifada, okay? And which is a very serious term, because the intifadas, which happened some years, some decades ago, were these demonstrations or the revolt of the Palestinian people that were very violent. And what they had in mind was actually the elimination of the state of Israel. So she's not referring here, when she says the genocide of Jews, she's not specifically referring to the Holocaust of World War II, okay? She's actually referring to that, to the intifadas, and the fact that these demonstrations in these universities in favor of Palestinian civilians, they have grown, and then they have gotten to a point where they are on the verge of an anti-Semitic discourse, okay, literally anti-Semitic. And it seems that they have actually harassed some Jewish students. So it's gotten, to a point where things are serious, are very serious, okay? So I want to share this clip, and we'll take it from here, okay?
At Penn, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules or code of conduct? Yes or no?
If the speech turns into conduct, it can be harassment, yes.
I am asking, specifically calling for the genocide of Jews, does that constitute bullying or harassment?
If the
Yes or no?
If the speech becomes conduct, it can be harassment, yes.
Conduct meaning committing the act of genocide? The answer is yes. And Dr. Gay, at Harvard, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
It can be, depending on the context.
What's the context?
Targeted as an individual, at an individual.
It's targeted at Jewish students, Jewish individuals. I will ask you one more time. Does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Harvard's rules of bullying and harassment? Yes or no?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric.
And is it anti-Semitic rhetoric?
Anti-Semitic rhetoric, when it crosses into conduct that amounts to bullying, harassment, intimidation, that is actionable conduct, and we do take action.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct, correct?
Again, it depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
Okay. So the result of this was that first lady, Elizabeth Magill, had to resign. She's no longer the president of Pennsylvania University. So if you want to know a little bit more of what's going on in the US these days, you can take a look at the press. This is from the Philadelphia Inquirer, where these students were denied the right to show a film critical of Israel. And as you can see, this picture says a lot, actually, in the sense that students are actually holding the Palestinian flag, and they are protesting in favor of Palestinian civilians, right? And there's also this actually article from the New York Times that gives more details on the hearing, okay, which is a very interesting article. So this is just sort of, I wanted to bring this sort of to give you guys a hint of something that is very recent, and that it's a living consequence of World War II. Okay, but we have to actually, if we want to understand World War II, we need to go back a little. We have to remember that in 1918, World War I had finished. There was the Treaty of Versailles, and there was this period which has been called the rise of totalitarianism or nationalism, right? Starting in 1922, roughly, okay, until 1941, basically. So we have in Italy, Mussolini got to power, okay, with the fascist party. And in 1924, Stalin took over after Lenin's death, okay? Then what happened in Spain? The situation in Spain is very, I would say, it has been studied a lot because the civil war in Spain was very bloody, was very serious. And it started in 1936 and ended in 1939 when Francisco Franco actually took control of the country after receiving the help. I mean, not only because he received the help, but he also received the help of Hitler and Mussolini. And Spain remained neutral during World War II, basically because they had to, first of all, sort of recover the country after the deadly civil war. And because Hitler was not interested in sort of invading an ally as Francisco Franco. Now, Hitler got to power in 1933 through the National Socialist Party, okay? And we cannot forget the important role of Japan, okay? Hideki Tojo was the general behind the army, and he became a prime minister in 1941, okay? So this was the situation outside the United States in the Northern Hemisphere with all these leaders that were totalitarian. And I think it's important to sort of underline that one of the theories, which is probably the most plausible, is that after the Great Depression of 29 and in the 30s, this economic situation in the world was so unstable. The unemployment rate was so high. We're going to see, I brought some more specific information about Germany, that when the situation gets to a point where everything seems to be out of control, where people see no hope in the future, that gives way to this discourse of tyrants. The gives way to the rise of these figures of the strong man that is going to resolve everything. You just have to follow them, you know. So that seems to have been the case in the world in those years. So we have the pictures here of Franco, who actually governed Spain from 1939 until 1975. So that makes it 36 years, that the amazing 36 years in power. And Hideki Tojo, who died in 1948, okay? And Mussolini from Italy, Hitler from Germany, and Stalin in the Soviet Union. Okay, so what were the shared characteristics? They were all tyrants, dictators. All of them praised the extreme nationalism. They expanded the military power. And that was, we're going to see, that was actually what saved Germany from the economic depression. They were leaders who were followed by the people, right? So we cannot forget that when there is a totalitarian leader, there are also millions of totalitarian followers, okay? People who follow them. Now, the difference between Mussolini and Franco and Hitler, between them and Stalin, was that Stalin was a communist. There is the communist theory in the sense that everything belonged to the state, right? Whereas in Spain, Italy, and Germany, they were totally anti-communists, right? They believed in private property, however, with strong government controls, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit more about Germany, okay? So Germany before Hitler, okay? Germany before Hitler. So Germany was hardly hit by the Depression, which started a little bit before 1929. 1929, we saw that in the last meeting, was just sort of the culmination, right, of something that had started before. There were many industries in trouble. But we can't forget that during the 1920s, Germany had to pay financial indemnities to France, mainly, after World War I. Then they had to pay loans to the US. Then the government, because of the dramatic economic situation, the government was unable to keep enough seats in parliament. There was hyperinflation, there was famine, people were starving. The rate of unemployment was at an incredible level of 33% of the labor force. Can you imagine? It's 1/3 of the labor force unemployed, according to this source, okay, medium.com. So that gave way to the rise of the National Socialist Party, which became the largest party in 1932. And in 1933, Hitler was appointed as chancellor. And then actually Hitler was responsible for what has been called the economic recovery of Germany, because actually he put the government to work and to expand the military power of Germany. Okay, so people who were unemployed, especially young men who were unemployed, they were recruited to the army and they were actually given at least a job, and they were brainwashed with the hope that Germany was going to be sort of great again if we can use the same slogan, you know, that Trump used, right? Okay, so this website here, okay, I'm going to make this presentation available. I'm going to send it to Jessica. So if you want to have it or to receive it, just let her know, okay? And this website explains a little bit more with more details what the economic recovery of Germany was. Okay, it's very interesting. Well, so as I said, Hitler wanted to make Germany sort of great again, in the sense of making it grow and be the power that it had been, by sort of invading and adding territories that had once belonged to Germany. And the first territories that were added were Austria and the western part of Czechoslovakia in 1938. Okay, then because these two countries had a wide German-speaking population, then Hitler ended up incorporating the whole territory of Czechoslovakia. But the declaration of war actually came when they invaded Poland. Okay, so Poland is this big country in Eastern Europe, which is half German, half Russian, okay, in origins. I mean, they're Polish, but they have had historically connections with these two peoples. So there was this secret pact between Stalin and Hitler, a pact of no aggression, an agreement of no aggression, where Germany was going to invade Poland and add the western part of it, because later Stalin was going to invade the eastern part of the country. Okay. However, Poland had an agreement with Great Britain and France. So when Hitler invaded Poland in August the 31st of 1939, that was the spark that made England and Spain, and France declare the war. Okay, and that's when the war started. Okay, Germany or Hitler, they started bombarding London. This is a picture that shows children protecting themselves and looking at the skies, where German and British air forces were fighting. So the London bombing was something, I don't know, there are pictures, you can find them easily on the internet, how they destroyed London. It's devastating watching those pictures. And one other important and sort of unforgettable um, point was the Holocaust, because the Nazi rhetoric blamed, and not only the Jewish people, but also the Roma people. The Roma people are known as the Gypsies, okay, for the failures, for the economic collapse of the economy. They were blamed for that. We can't forget that the Nazi government actually stole their goods, their properties. They actually confiscated what belonged to the Jewish people. And as if that wasn't enough, they were sent to concentration camps where they were forced to work as slaves in the first place. They were given little or no food, so they would starve. They were killed in gas chambers. It was, and I guess everybody has seen a movie or a documentary of the atrocities that were perpetrated by the Nazis against the Jewish people. And uh, I wanted to tell you guys of the a personal story. When I was in middle school, was in the last year of middle school, I remember this history teacher that saw that I had some interest in this topic, and she allowed me to prepare this kind of presentation or essay on the Holocaust. And I remember going to the library and looking at these books with these pictures. And I still remember, I was 13. I still remember the shock I had watching the pictures of, the dead people like impiled, right? They were treated as like nothing. And they were so thin because they were starving. It's just it's heartbreaking. It's something that once you see it, it never leaves your mind, I think. Well, this website from the US Holocaust Memorial and Museum, it's a very good website. Okay. I want to show you a little bit what you can see here. It has articles, pictures of the different moments of the Holocaust, the concept, the concentration camps. It's a very good website. I think it's worth visiting it. And right. Okay, so let me go back to the presentation. Well, that made me remember a movie called Sophie's Choice, which is a movie with Meryl Streep from the 80s, if I'm not mistaken. And she plays the role of this Polish woman who was being sent to a concentration camp, and she had two children, a boy and a girl. And when she is waiting in line, there is this German officer that asks her to choose. And the choice is heartbreaking. So I brought this scene, it's one scene of the movie, that I think that shows very well how terrible the Nazis were, and how terrible everything was. Okay. Yep. Wow. Um, well, it's difficult to not to get emotional. Um, well, um, the book that we use at high school, they have this estimate of how many Jewish people were dead, and Poland actually suffered in great numbers because of the great uh, number of Jewish people that lived there. So around 3 million, and there are these estimates, the low and the high estimate, but they were around 3 million killed. So the low estimate is around almost 5 million of Jewish people dead, and the high estimate is around 6 million. So that's why that's kind of the number that is always referred to, right? Around 6 million Jewish people killed by the Nazis. That's probably the cruelest part of World War II. But not only, okay? So the United States, what was going on in the US? The US, at the beginning of the war, did not enter immediately in the war. There was this debate. Many people, as usual, as it happens in the United States, say, well, these are wars that happen outside our country. We have to remain neutral. Okay, why are we going to once more, because they had already participated in World War I, why are we going to participate once more in another world war, right? And besides that, we can't forget that there was the East Front in Europe and the West with Japan. So if the United States decided to enter the war, they were going to have to fight in two fronts, the East and the West. Okay. Well, if we remember what we saw in our last meeting with the Great Depression, President Roosevelt had actually implemented the New Deal, this series of government programs that were aimed at trying to recover the economy. And their success was questionable. Okay, they helped the economy, but they didn't help the economy to fully recover. What actually helped the economy to be fully recovered in the US was World War II, because then they put all the economy of the country, all the country, to work and to produce aircrafts, ships. So there is this injection of money actually into the economy, and we can't forget with actually the control of the government. So the government took control of the economy. Okay, there were a series of agencies and laws, okay, that allowed, for example, the government to freeze wages, prices, and rents, to ration foods, to limit wage increases here in the National Labor Board, to this War Production Board to ration fuel and materials vital to the war effort. You name it. There are these series of government institutions in charge of controlling the economy. And what happened was that the aircraft and ship production soared, the budget skyrocketed, okay? And it was this actually that saved the American economy after the Depression, okay? Now, this was the situation in Europe in 1942, okay? So Germany had actually taken control of almost everything. They had already started to fight against the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union was fighting back, okay? The front in Russia was, I mean, the number of Russians that died is incredible. It's something that if you want to do some research in that, you're gonna just I mean, tears are going to roll down. It's something just out of this world. Well, the United States decides to enter the war when? In 1941, December the 7th, after the attack on Pearl Harbor, okay? But before talking about that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the D-Day, right? When the American troops, together with British troops, they disembark in the coast of Normandy in France on June the 6th, 1944, okay? And that's actually the beginning of the end to for Hitler, okay? Because the American troops actually started to regain control of that continental Europe, okay? There is this movie called Saving Private Ryan, okay, which is a very famous movie from 1990 something, 98, if I'm not mistaken. It's an excellent movie. I want to show you the trailer. I'm sure it's on Netflix. It's a very famous movie that shows in a very crude way the horrors of the soldiers, and specifically in this beach called the Omaha Beach. Okay, so let's watch the trailer. It's just 2 minutes. It's also a recommendation if you want to see a good movie.
We're looking for a private James Ryan.
I don't know anything about Ryan. I don't care. Finding him so he can go home. If that earns me the right to get back to my wife, well then, that's my mission.
I mean, where's the sense of risking the lives of the 8 of us to save one guy?
Captain just gave you an order. Yeah, like the one he gave to take this machine gun. Yes, sir, that was one hell of a call coming to take this nest, but what the hell, we lost one of our guys going for it. I swear, I hope Mama Ryan's real fucking happy knowing that little Jimmy's life is a little bit more important than 2 of our guys.
Just know that every man I kill, the farther away from home I feel.
Any sense, sir? Why? Why me? Why do I deserve to go? Why not any of these guys? They all fought just as hard as me. I have my orders too, sir. They don't include me abandoning my post.
Very good movie. Right. Now let's go back to Japan. So Japan actually had invaded many regions in Asia and was sort of building this huge empire. They had invaded Manchuria in China, Korea, even Peking. The French Indochina. Okay, and this is an area with lots of North American, US interests. The Philippines, okay, was US territory. Hawaii, there are also other islands in the hands of the United States. So there was this threat, okay? And in December the 7th, actually, the Japanese invaded Pearl Harbor and they attacked the ships. Okay, it was a surprise attack at 7:55 a.m. the first attack, and the second attack at 8:55 a.m. Okay, that's when the US decides to enter the war. Now, how did the US finish the war in this part of the world? I guess we all know it was with the atomic bomb in Hiroshima, one, and another one in Nagasaki, okay, in 1945. So that was the end of the war, with this weapon of massive destruction. So I brought this documentary called The Silent Witness. It's on YouTube for free. You can watch it. Okay. They interview this lady, Japanese lady, who is 90-something years old. She lives in the United States. The documentary was released this year in 2023. So she was 13 when they released the bomb. And she tells us a little bit of her story that day. Okay. So I'm going to play from minute 2 until minute 8 and something. So it's 6 minutes, a little longer than usual for the videos that I show, but I think it's absolutely worth watching it. Okay, let's watch it. Okay.
I was born in Hiroshima, Japan. My father died when I was only 6. So my mother and my grandparents and myself, we lived as a family. My father was not very strict, but my mother was. My life was very good, but I was always a kind of forward person, kind of rebellious, you know. But in 1941, as you know, the war started.
Oh, I forgot to mention. So I thought that this was interesting because they bring images from that time, from Pearl Harbor. We're going to see President Roosevelt talking about war, and then President Truman deciding to bomb Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So that's why I think it's a very good documentary in that sense.
Yesterday, the United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. This is war.
I was just in high school then, but we are no longer studying at the time because we have to go to the factory to help war effort. So I was assigned to this printing shop in Hiroshima. We are printing things for the government, army. I was 13 years old on August 6, 1945. It was a fine day, not even clouds in the sky.
We have spent more than $2 billion on the greatest scientific gamble in history, and we have won. It is an atomic bomb. It is a harnessing of the basic power of the universe. With this bomb, we have now added a new and revolutionary increase in destruction. We have the bomb. Now, had to make a decision as to whether we'd use that bomb on Japan or not.
I left home as always. Unfortunately, I argued with my mother, and I slammed the door and I left the home, and not knowing that that's going to be my last time I see my mom, and I regret that every day, even now.
We are now prepared to destroy more rapidly and completely every productive enterprise the Japanese have in any city. Let there be no mistake. We shall completely destroy Japan's power to make war.
We always have to meet on a courtyard before we go in. And so I was doing that. Then I saw B-29 flying. We all learned how B-29 makes that, like a sound. B-29 goes like a like that. Other planes, it has a different sound, so I could identify the plane. That's when the bomb dropped. No sound, just a flash. When I saw the flash, I never knew that was, atomic bomb. Then we never heard of it before, right? I did not feel anything. We were trained before that we just cover our eyes, push the eyeballs back, and cover your ear and open your mouth, so it fell to the ground. And I thought to myself, I'm going to just die here, right? But no, luckily I survived. So I think because I was behind the wall, I think that's what saved me, maybe.
A short time ago, an American airplane dropped one bomb on Hiroshima. The force from which the sun draws its power has been loosed against those who brought war to the Far East. The Japanese began the war from the air at Pearl Harbor. They have been repaid many-fold, and the end is not yet. If they do not now accept our terms, they may expect a rain of ruin from the air, the like of which has never been seen on this earth.
By that time, already fire was coming from behind you, so you have to go where there's no fire. So I kept on running and running. Some people, they are just burned and they are melting, literally. I saw all that, and the smell is terrible, of course, and They are screaming, but they all say, give me water, give me water. That's what I heard. I said, you can't drink the water, they are poisoned. You can't really stop to help them because, your life is in danger. So I kept on running. And I ended up in this mountain that's called Koi.
Okay. So if you want to watch the entire documentary, it's called The Silent Witness. Okay. It's shocking as well. Well, it's how difficult it is to talk about the war, isn't it? It's far from. I remember when I was a child, there was still these stories of talking about the war from the point of view of the generals and the strategies and the armies and how they fought against one another and how one army got to defeat another one, and stories of heroes. I think I have the impression that I always felt like I didn't belong to, like history didn't make sense to me from that point of view. And I didn't know why, because that was the sort of dominant discourse, especially among men. But I don't know why. I always felt that there was something awkward. There was something that didn't fit. Many times I thought that I didn't fit. But then I realized with more contemporary studies that there's this other point of view, and that maybe this point of view of great men, great heroes, victories and war strategies is not the most important. I think that the most important thing is to always underline the fact that wars are made to destroy people and to kill the innocent. So that's why they're so terrible. Okay, because none of the generals, none of the those people who actually gave orders, they were not killed. I mean, they were killed only at the end, but the millions of people that so died in such horrible ways by the millions. So that's what counts, I think. So just to wrap up, I mean, to finish the presentation, Brazil also participated in the war. The pracinhas, right? And I found that this website and this link, Gazeta do Povo, brings a very detailed and I would say accurate description of how the first groups, Forças Expedicionárias do Brasil, they were sent to Europe in very precarious conditions. They didn't even have, proper clothes to be able to put up with the rough European winter, and they suffered a lot in the beginning, right? There is a movie that I haven't seen, also released in 2015, talking a little bit about that, about this group of soldiers, Brazilian soldiers, during World War II. So all these links are here in this slide, okay? And these are the references, okay, of this presentation. And that's what I had. That's what I prepared for this evening. So I now actually would like to give you the opportunity to, if you want to ask questions or make any comments, please feel free to do so. Okay, so that's going to be all for this evening. Thank you very much for your presence. And well, see you with another history talk in January, okay, with the Cold War. All right.